I know about the Speedies too. Real tasty. So Judy, thank you so much for spending the better part of your day with us. We're delighted that you could join us. And we are just about at the half past the hour again and ready for our last session.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
So production, if we can bring Mr. Hardy into spotlight, welcome him back. Michael, great to see you. Thanks for joining us again and for bringing up the what do you call that last leg in the relay race? You're the anchor.
The anchor man.
I am the anchor.
You're the anchor. So Michael, of course, representing the Watkins Glen area. So Michael, please finish us off and let us know more about your wonderful spot and take it away.
Hardy, hello everyone. Thanks for sticking on board. I am fortunate, as I said earlier in the day, that I've just joined, so I don't have the expertise. I'm so proud of my friends. You know, they glow when they talk about the communities that they live in and work for and represent and invite family, friends, and different groups to. So I'm excited that people have stayed on board to listen. I would like to talk a little bit about our community. I'm going to experiment with you a little bit, and I'm going to try to experiment in a share here. So probably the best tool for people to use is, did that work? I think so.
Your screen
So
sharing,
like
there
I'm
you go.
sharing.
Yeah,
so
we've
this
got,
is our
we've got your
website.
video, yep.
Great. So I have two screens. I think that's kind of creating a challenge for me. But so the website that we have, the Watkins Glen Chamber.com, is the current site we're using. If people are to come back in another month or so, they would see a different configuration, a little bit more friendlier use. But we are partners with I Love New York, and in addition to the people that are on the screen, many of them are that. You're looking at Seneca Lake from the west side, the side closer, I believe the closer side to Rochester, coming down on 14. It's barely an hour and a half drive. As I mentioned, I do it every day, and it's really quite lovely. I'm always surprised as a big city guy. I've lived in New York City, Chicago, and in Rochester most of my life, or throughout my life. And to come down and just immerse yourself in the agriculture, the vineyards, the lake, and just the lush green, and currently just the burgundies and golds of leaf peeping. I'm an official leaf peeper. Some of my colleagues may be also. They actually are working on sending pictures and stories to New York State so that we can keep this lovely map that many of you have seen on what's peak and what's not. We're just going to be at about peak at this coming weekend, so we're very fortunate. The lakes actually keep the trees and the grapevines and corn stalks, all the things that have this color of leaf peeping, quite rich and cool. And so the warmth of the water actually extends our leaf peeping period, and also is why grapes can stay on the vines, particularly the red grapes for the over 40 wineries in the area. So we have different areas where to stay, things to do, eat and drink. The chamber information is about our 450 members. Most of them are tourism driven, and then some of the programs and resources that people have. So again, I encourage our viewers to look at WatkinsGlenChamber.com. And it will give you the details and more up to date than any of our print pieces, although you can call and we'd be happy to send you a visitor's guide. The where to stay I talked about earlier in the day, and the different accommodations you'll see listed is certainly you've got the bed and breakfast and cabins, camping, cottages, all of the more unique, intimate, smaller type of lodging, yurts I mentioned, glamping versus camping. We have all of that here, and those 200 partners of ours that help people rest and recharge for the next day or the week if they're coming for vacation, either waterside, lakeside. When I say lakeside and lakefront here in Schuyler County, that could mean not only Seneca Lake, but it could also mean Juanita Lake or Lamoka. They're both smaller lakes and are lovely and have different personalities, tend to be a little more rural than the Seneca Lake. And although Seneca Lake is surrounded by the vineyards and distilleries and farms, the little communities along Seneca Lake change the feel a little bit. So a little bit of something for everyone. So I just like to mention the accommodations because you can find everything here And the Harbor Hotel is probably more infamous most recently as our full service Four Diamond property with the Blue Point Grill and the excellent culinary treats that you get at the hotel. That's one of the Heart Hotels. The Heart Hotels exist also in the Thousand Islands and in Chautauqua. So that might be some familiar to you. On the next page, the things to see and do, I'm just briefly going to point that out. I think probably the middle picture is what we're known for, but the adrenaline pump of the racetrack, whether it's an actual racing event for NASCAR or Indy or some of the more vintage cars, there are also concerts and festivals. As a matter of fact, we'll have our 25th wine festival coming up this this July. And so look for those dates. And though we had to cancel a number of events at the track and in the community over the last several months, particularly summer, late spring, we're anticipating that next spring and summer, as all of us are hoping, we'll have a wonderful festival season. We all embrace our May 1st to November season. We talk a little bit about winter, and I'll do that also here. But keep in mind that the racetrack is one of the biggest draws, although not the biggest draw. And the racetrack does offer public drives around the track. And I think that's actually what brought a lot of people in this very unique summer. The outdoor activity is by far the number one reason people come. And I mentioned outdoor, but it's a big umbrella when you talk about the outdoors. And one of those that I would mention, and I hope that my screen has changed that, the fall farm country. Farm country, Finger Lakes Farm Country is part of the outdoors. So it's, of course, more man-made, more structured, but you have farms of all kinds of creative growing seasons and unique products. Some of them are livestock. We have 2 alpaca farms here in Schuyler County, which is very unique, and they're the cutest critters ever. And I'm allergic to wool, so I can't wear wool, but I can wear alpaca fiber, and so they're called fiber farms. We also have goats and sheep and cows, of course, and a number of creameries, significant number of creameries, and a lot of ice cream, and a lot of ice cream stores here. So if you're not lactose intolerant and you want to come our way, there's plenty of places to have ice cream all year round. I encourage you to go to the website, Finger Lakes Farm Country. We just finished our first Finger Lakes Farm Country farm trail with 10 open house farms opening their farms, 2 of the alpaca, some really wonderful fruit farms with great jellies and preserves and teas and fruits and things that they make with all of the products that they make and or grow. We also have a wild mushroom, wild woods or woodland mushroom farm where the mushrooms are actually grown on in the forest on bark in quantity. They also do some glamping and camping. So it's kind of fun that you can actually stay at farms or other unique venues, but to stay on a farm and actually experience that is kind of a neat, unique to Schuyler kind of feel. Watkins Glen and Schuyler we use interchangeably. I will mention that the farm sanctuary is something that many people who are fond of animals, livestock, and also protecting them and making sure that they're treated well. Know about Farm Sanctuary with over 800 adoptees that are taken care of at this facility. That facility has been closed this year, up to this season. Although they're trying to ramp up and figure out their biggest priority was not visitors, but the reason people come to visit, and that's animals that they're charged with taking care of lovingly and protectively. So they wanted to be careful with them. And so they did not open this year, but it is part of that farm experience. And there are so many other cheese curds are a big deal here, as well as ice cream. And of course, all of the products that you would buy during the fall, whether that's pumpkins and gourds of all kinds, mums, corn, etc. So I think a lot of us have talked about agriculture. You have to remember agriculture is the #1 biggest industry in the state of New York. And so therefore, many of those farmers have gotten very savvy with farming and as a tourism attraction. So I hope that you'll enjoy that. I want you to know that less of a hecticness of a tourism town, and in a contrast, not in a bashing way, is so Lake George has that resort feel plus nature, and New York City, obviously there's no place like it on earth. And then Binghamton has got that kind of blend of both, but with a really nice sophistication of a small city, just like Rochester. Watkins Glen is very unique in the sense that we are very country, very slowed down, Although, you know, it's where Mother Nature meets Main Street, because we have these little villages. We have Watkins Glen, we have Montour Falls, we have Hector and Bradford and Odessa, and all these little towns have little main streets with great little shops and shopping, but their own little unique personalities. And you really do slow down here. A favorite saying, I have many of them, and you're subject to them because you're captivated on this, or at least captive, is that, you know, take some time to get lost in the Finger Lakes. To really enjoy the Finger Lakes is, you don't want to plan out an itinerary that doesn't allow you to stop at a roadside farm stand, or into an antique store, or into this cute artist boutique, or certainly to swing by for an ice cream or a glass of wine, or maybe even a beer. Try our distillery. Finger Lakes Distillery here is award-winning and is a phenomenal facility, as is Grist Iron Brewing. I worked at Corning Museum of Glass, which is one of our partners here, and the Curtis Museum as well. They're just over the border a little bit, but they're part of our cultural offerings. And I compare, after working at Corning Museum of Glass, I compare organizations to it, where you're kind of turning that corner and you're like, wow, what is this world-class facility doing in the middle of the country? Well, Corning Museum of Glass make your own glass, and one of, if not the largest glass museums in the world. I contrast that. So Grist Iron Brewing and Inn, you turn the corner and this brewery is something that's hugely fantastic and still envelops the wonderful personality of the Finger Lakes. And you're like, I call it the CMOG of breweries. Well, not too far down the road on 414 on the east side of Seneca Lake is this CMOG of distilleries, the Finger Lakes Distilling Company, and all of the wonderful distilled and spirits that they make, sweeter wines and brandies and whiskeys and gins and such. And it's just so impressive, and you least expect it on some country road. That's very well maintained, by the way. And again, as I mentioned, only an hour and a half from Rochester, barely, on either side of the lake, depending on how you go from the north. So I would like to also try a video. We'll see how that goes, because we know how the volume is. So if I go here and I try to go to the share, my volume is on, and I'm going to try this.
We're good.
I actually picked the video to show you. Oops, sorry about that. I actually picked the video to, because I like the music. It is an economic development video, but it shows you all the things that are going on here. Quite a significant amount of money actually has gone into the community recently for infrastructure. So it's easy to drive down. It's lovely to come into town. There's this odd nautical feel in addition to the agriculture and the great outdoors with the national forest and the farming I've talked about, and certainly these wineries. Once again, I cannot overemphasize, please call ahead to any of the attractions, whether they're outdoor and or the wineries, because if you call ahead, you will most likely be gaining a very good VIP experience, particularly at the wineries, breweries, and distilleries. I hope that I've been helpful. I know I'm at the end of the day, and I'm hoping that I can answer some more questions than talk at you, but I will let you know we have 2 visitor centers here, one at the state park and one here on in downtown Watkins Glen, our small little Mayberry in the Finger Lakes, if you will. So I welcome you to come down and visit, and I invite you to bring family and friends and workers. I am going to, I think, stop share, or a new share is what it's going to let me do. So I'll just come on here with a little bit of a map. I think it's going to let me choose. And then I just want to kind of end on the map here. Once again, where Mother Nature meets Main Street, you've got the park to the bottom, State Park. You've got the lakeside, and then if you were to come off the map a little bit, you'd come right into the National Forest. Again, Rochester is up in the northern part. Watkins Glen is the southern part, that hour-and-a-half drive. Montreux Falls is that other small village where you saw Hallmark Falls. And we have just an amazing area to come and visit, and probably the biggest draw right now, this time of year, and into the winter, which is actually the best time to see the wineries, is the Seneca Lake Wine Trail. So thank you for your attention. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you
Wonderful,
very
Michael,
much,
that was-
Michael. Michael, that was, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. Laura, just wanted to
That's
thank
okay.
Michael.
That
So-
was great. I think Nadia's getting us up again here. There we go. Wonderful. Michael, that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you. I liked your graphics. The pictures were very, it just painted a beautiful picture of the region for us. There are some questions that came up.
Laura, you have to love a drone, right? Drones are the way to sell it, Karen. Get a drone.
Who knew 5 years ago we'd be using drones? It's amazing what
Everywhere.
our changes. Exactly. There are some questions that came up for you though. Regarding Watkins Glen, the gorge, getting up and down, handicapped accessibility. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? People are wondering.
Well, certainly what's nice is the renovation. I don't know the last time that you may have all been down. I hope you've been down. What used to be the parking right next to the gorge is gone.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful park. And so you certainly, with a wheelchair, can access that part of it. So the very bottom access of the gorge to both the Indian Trail to the north, which is normally where people come down, these wider, very easily manageable steps with a slow pace. And then the stone stairs that many people are familiar with, all made of slate, and certainly that's why the gorge doesn't open until later than sooner in April after it's been scaled, which means the removal of any shale that may have loosened up during the winter, so that it's nice and safe. Some of it mortared back up, other of it removed so it doesn't fall on people while they're walking through. I just did it. I'm not the most athletic person, I'm sorry to say, but I did it in an hour and a half. Currently, for safety's sake, and we didn't include any pictures with masks, but they're everywhere, both in our restaurants, on our streets, in our stores, and in the wineries particular. But they did a one-way trail through the park, Laura, so that it would kind of help people social distance. And some of the stairs that you walk, well, most of the stairs are very wide. It's almost like a two-step stair, so that there aren't steep inclines. There are railings. You take your time. There are walls. Some of it's slippery though. You do get wet. You know, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's part of the experience. Even with it, Judy had mentioned, you know, it was a dry summer down here.
Yeah.
So my famous saying, and I said it earlier, is, you know, what's not canceled? Nature. And I'm ready to go to that campaign with everyone, because it doesn't even matter. But that's when our falls went dry because the drought was so bad. but there was still a trickle, right? So you don't need this huge gush of water coming through. And actually, I thought it was much lovelier to see the rock formations and such. But it's very safe. It's very easily paced. Certainly, you can't bring a wheelchair up. I saw a number of people using canes and just taking their time. I was really proud of them. That's great. You know, I may have seen them going on the way back down, and they weren't huffing or puffing. They were just taking their time. There's plenty of places to rest. There's no rush. It's not timed. I think people of all ages and all feet size would do well. And if you have a chair or a walker, you can enjoy the public art and the nature and just the gorge itself right at the base.
Is there a parking lot? This is from my own personal memory. Parking lot up top, you could walk down, or is there a parking lot and then you could take a shuttle up and just come down if you don't want to do the stairs? I mean, going up that.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is the shuttle. There's paid parking both on the lower level as well as the top level where the pool is. The Olympic pool actually was a huge draw this year because it's what you least expect. There's a campground on the top. So, you know, camping is kind of the thing to do here, particularly at the state park. But the shuttle runs, the paid parking is still there if you want to park closer. There's also, you know, on-street parking. So some people park on street, some people park closer and pay a little money. I also see a lot of people exchanging the parking ticket because it lasts pretty much half the day. And then people are gone usually an hour and a half or 2 hours, and they'll give the ticket to someone else and they can enjoy it. I actually gave it to an Indian family that was here from New Jersey a couple of weeks ago when I drove over. But yeah, the shuttle service. There are two ways to enter. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's great. There was another question. I know you said that, of course, it's well known for the racing, but that's not all. But with the racetrack, someone has asked us if apparently a couple of years ago, there was a driving experience where people could take their own car onto the track. Are you familiar with that product?
No, that existed. That actually is where we got the traffic. We got that traffic. Pun intended, I guess. We got that car traffic all summer. There were a lot of the car clubs that come in. There are a lot of independent family people that there are periods of time you would call ahead and you'd find out what are the general public access to the track, and then you can pay that that fee to drive through the track. It's probably was the only thing going on at the track this summer, and so it worked out very well. We had a lot of car clubs here.
Great. So people can still come on down. Fantastic. Craig, do you have a couple of questions that you've come across?
I do have a couple of questions along the lines of the racetrack, just to get that over with. It'd be for next year. How far in advance can you get, or should you be getting tickets for the NASCAR event?
So I would, they were very good at refunding or repositioning tickets for the events that canceled, from what I understood. I came in July, so most of that had already started happening. I would go on Watkins Glen International and start looking now. I believe the wine festival tickets are open now. I know that's not, although it may be race oriented, because they've announced that there's an Indy car race that's going to happen the same weekend as the 25th anniversary of the wine festival. They're going to actually combine. So the energy level that weekend is going to be crazy. They're very, very good, Craig, at keeping their calendar of events posted, processes and procedures, in addition to COVID and safety and that such.
In any race, it's a very special event when it hasn't been an Indy race there in a while.
I'm sorry?
An Indy race would be a very special event. There hasn't been one there for a while, has there?
No, I mean, they do the traditional race. They actually do a couple of traditional, it's kind of a standard schedule. This Indy announcement is fairly new. It was going to happen this year and it was canceled, postponed. I like to use the word postponed. I don't like using the word because I can't schedule, or even better, reimagined and repurposed. So we have, that's all happening, and they're planning, I think this would make it a 10 event season coming up in 2021.
Okay. So a couple other questions unrelated to driving. Are the schooner excursions operating? So one of our boats, the True Love, didn't make it through the canal. They didn't get up from Florida soon enough and couldn't get through the canal. So the Navones actually used it. You know, when you can't do, you plan or you fix, right? So they fixed the True Love, which is the catamaran schooner. But Captain Bill's, good old tried and true Captain Bill's,
has 2 boats. They have a smaller wooden boat that gives you a little bit more of a nostalgic feel as it does the farms and waterfall tours of the lake down on our end. And then the larger boat that Captain Bill is most known for, where the meals are and such, that's been operating all summer and will operate. It actually doesn't leave the water. And he'll do probably through November 1st and probably later. A lot of people are trying to make up for that slow spring and late winter where they couldn't actually do business. But yeah, Captain Bill's is as popular as ever.
Yeah, through November. It's good to know on Cap Bill. That was the second question that one of the viewers had asked. Kelly, anything that you see in the chat box?
Yes, I do know that when you have to buy the race tickets and things like that, but how fast or how far ahead you have to book the campgrounds and the hotels for the race weekend? Because I know it pretty much starts on like Thursday with the trials or something like that, or practice, and then it goes through the weekend.
Sure.
So how long in advance or far in advance you have to book it?
Well, a phenomenon I'll share with you and the viewers that have been nice enough to stay on. It looks like we haven't lost anyone actually. So we must be keeping them interested. I will tell you the phenomenon here is those 9 events that we didn't have this year were all backfilled, meaning that we had a whole new audience come and stay with us in Watkins Glen that has never stayed over those 9 weekends. And now I'm concerned that when they do open up the dates, now the hotels have experienced some really nice market coming to enjoy our community. So traditionally what that means is in the past, those would book up very fast. So Kelly, of course, you know your product and Craig's alluding to it as well. Those, I mean, some people have been coming for years and years and years and probably have had reservations with the same inns, bed and breakfasts, Airbnbs, vacation rentals, etc. And so I would say call now and then talk, look at our website, look at some favorite places that pique your interest and then call now. I mean, it doesn't hurt to be calling about next summer. It's very similar to when you rent a picnic pavilion in a park for a family picnic, right? Or a cookout or a reunion it's usually a year out. That's pretty true, but keeping in mind the majority of our lodging properties aren't flags. They're not big names. They're mom and pops. They're keeping books. They're not putting it on computer. And so you get written in the book and it's yours, right? So I would encourage if there's a date that you're interested in. I think now the race folks might have a challenge because now the nature explorers, the escape tourists, all those fun people that really came and enjoyed our community, and a lot of people from Rochester. We think a lot of people from Rochester came this summer. They were going to come for 2 days. They stayed 3 or 4. That's another phenomenon that we're going to have to get used to is, oh, there's so much down here. We're going to stay 3 or 4 days instead of 2 days. We had a lot of Sunday stays and a lot of Mondays. Sundays and Mondays are great rates down here, and that's year round. And our hotel product is year round, not all of it, but some of it. And so I would encourage people to call ahead, go on our website, look and see what intrigues you, what kind of style of lodging you want. We have everything. And then call ahead.
Wonderful.
Make friends with mom and pop B&B owner. And
on a side note, my husband used to own a Ford dealership, so we used to stay in the Ford tent on, I think it was the first turn where the tent was, and one year they let us drive the brand new Ford Ranger around the track, and I got to drive around the track. It was so exciting.
I was hoping to do that this year, but I've been so busy starting off. But I know that there's a driver for around the track for me in the coming up future, or in the near future, or at least the near season future.
Yeah, it was the day of the race. We did it right before the race started. They had whoever was a sponsor got a chance to do that. So it was very exciting. I loved it.
We had a comment in the chat. Someone here went to school with the owner of the True Love, Josh Navone, and they've seen the True Love since it's been refinished and say it's just amazing.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Those shots that you see of the marina, and there's several marinas, plus the Chemung Canal, because the Erie Canal feeds down to us. And so we are part of the Erie Canal system. And so the boating culture down here is really fun. I grew up, some people don't know this, but I grew up in Newport, Rhode Island, America's first tourist town. And so when I go out and I've got a farm on one side, and then I have a marina on another side, and then I have waterfalls behind me and breweries in front of me. I mean, it's just lovely. It's something very unique down here.
That's
nice.
True. Well, we are at 5 o'clock, and
we did it.
The day went fast. We did it with your help, Michael, and with everyone else that participated today. I should go ahead and thank again Judy Hess from Binghamton, representing Binghamton, for being here. Thank you, Judy, very much. Gina and Kim representing Lake George, and John from NYC and Company, and Rachel Pilvino from Visit Rochester. Thank you to all of you for coming today. I'm
Yes.
delighted you took time from your day to support this, and I think our viewers appreciated it. We'll be putting recordings of all of these webinars up on our YouTube page. They YouTube channel. They will also be on each of the radio stations that sponsored this event's web pages. So you'll be able to go view them there and get information about the specific destinations and offers. That's pretty much all I've got to say, except a big thank you to everybody. If anyone else, Laura or Kelly, you want to say goodbye or?
Goodbye. Everybody was fabulous. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. It makes me want to get out there and visit all these places I haven't been to in a long time. So thank you very much.
And I appreciate,
Thank you for letting us be part.
wonderful. It's been a great day, and we appreciate. We also were live on Facebook and Instagram today. So if I believe at least Facebook, I won't double check. I have to double check on Instagram, but oftentimes, even though you can go back, you can rewatch it on Facebook, the live presentation. So I think you should catch most of it then again there. And remember, we're local for anyone who is in the Rochester area. We're on Rudeville. And we're near all your doctor's offices. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram. We have websites for Just Cruises Inc., Whitaker and Dupre. We're under WD Travel Partners. We have a phone number. You can reach us. 585, of course, is our area code, but 442-8901, or Google us. We're on there. You can find us. We're all ready and happy to help you stay in New York. And when the time is there, when we can expand, we're here to take you anywhere worldwide or even into outer space, as you know, as we mentioned. So thanks again, everybody. It's been a privilege to be with you.
I also like to thank everybody for participating. We're still going to be promoting the website on all 3 of the stations right through the first of the year. All the presentations were really awesome. I learned quite a bit. So Craig and I will get together. You know, maybe this is just the first bite of the apple, and we'll do this. We'll do this again. Another presentation.
Thank you, John.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
I'm from Providence originally.
Ah. So we'll have to head out there next week.
I know Newport well.
Newport is gorgeous.
Yeah.
A little roadie. It's a great place to visit.
Yep.
Bye, all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Well.